So, Spyro 4, the game that many people have asked for, but are beginning to feel, neglected and unheard. Well, I'm holding out for it because I believe I have found some interesting and big connections that suggest that our purple lad is in full-scale development, and we might be seeing him relatively soon. Let's talk about it. What's up guys, Canadian Guy here, and back with a brand new Spyro 4 video. Ever since Crash Team Rumble's announcement, fans have certainly been a bit upset on the Spyro side of the spectrum. People have been chomping on the bit to experience the Purple Boy once more in a brand new adventure. And as always, I keep my ear to the ground while searching for more evidence of this new game. And I believe I have found a series of connections that seems to imply that a new Spyro is in full-scale development. First things first, let's get something out of the way. Crash Team Rumble seems to be pushing that Spyro is going to be a playable character. In a previous video, we found a wallpaper on the Crash Team Rumble website that had icons that represented each character that's going to be involved on the roster. For example, these shorts belong to Crash Bandicoot, and this giant vacuum gun is Dingodile's. This would be confirmed later on by the Crash Bandicoot social media team, as they started to share characters that are going to be a part of the initial roster of Crash Team Rumble, like our previous example of both Crash and Dingodile. But take a look in the background. We can see the shorts that was found on the wallpaper being the background of Crash Bandicoot, along with the vacuum gun being with Dingodile. So it would seem that our icon hypothesis was correct. The reason this is important is because we found this wing in the background with the same shorts and vacuum gun from the previous example. Now, I know what some of you might be thinking, and we did do our due diligence, and we were able to determine that this wing was not Cat Bats, who's a new character that was introduced in the new launch trailer for Crash Team Rumble, but actually was a perfect match to Spyro the Dragon's Wing. This actually is our first small hint of a Spyro comeback being in the works. But how? Why does Spyro being yet another guest character in a Crash game mean that he's coming back? Well, I want you to take a look at CTR Nitro Fueled, the last mainline game that Spyro showed up in. Spyro did technically show up very prominently in Crash on the Run, but reports said later on that King was essentially working by themselves separately from other developers. But nonetheless, Spyro came to Crash Team Racing Nitro Fueled during the Spyro and Friends Grand Prix. And during the same month, Spyro Reignited Trilogy's PC and Nintendo Switch port was being released. As you can see, the Grand Prix was a gigantic cross-promo campaign for the new ports that they were releasing, and it was releasing during the anniversary month of Spyro's first release from the original games by Insomniac. Now, Activision loves to do cross-promotional events, where one franchise feeds into another for marketing purposes. I've been calling this scheme cross-pollination. One of the first examples, of course, that I can think of was when Crash Insane had a verbal announcement from Sean Layton during E3, but was followed up with the fact that Crash was actually going to be coming to Skylanders Imaginators, and then they actually showed off the trailer for it. We're going to put a small pin into this thought and come back to it because it does make sense later on. So, now that I've made that point, let me show you something interesting. Take a look at this recent social media post by Toys for Bob. The tweet says, quote, "Big moves and big mood for 2023. In this tweet, we can see what seems to be teases and fun little celebrations for Toys for Bob. But when you look at the wording of this tweet, these images seem to imply what we are seeing is content that they seemingly will be working on in 2023. So let's take a look at what's on their docket, shall we? First off, we see the giant Crash Team Rumble logo along with Ghost from the Call of Duty franchise. So it implies that Toys for Bob will obviously be working on Crash Team Rumble and will also be still contributing to the Call of Duty franchise in some way, shape, or form. Now again, I want to stress, video game companies can work on multiple projects at the same time. This was something that I stressed about when people heard the news back in 2021 that Toys for Bob was actually going to be working and supporting Call of Duty, to being the signal of the end of Crash, Spyro, and of course Wumpa League, which was the original name slated for Crash Team Rumble. This picture, again, shows that Toys for Bob can work on multiple projects at once. Now, remember this, because this will play into an even bigger point that I'm going to make later. But take a look at the top left corner. There are two things I want you to focus on here. The biggest one being that we see Spyro flying along with a 25th. Now, if you don't know, 2023 is Spyro's 25th anniversary, so if all of these logos suggest what Toys for Bob will be doing in 2023, then we can assume that Toys for Bob will be celebrating Spyro's 25th anniversary. Now, Activision has an obsession with releasing or announcing titles during anniversary periods. Go and look for yourself. Crash Insane's announcement was during its 20th anniversary year. Spyro Reignited was announced and released on its 20th anniversary year, and even initially aimed for the original anniversary month. Crash Team Racing Nitro Fueled was released during CTR's 20th anniversary year, and Crash Team Rumble was initially slated for Crash's 25th anniversary year, according to an old leaked production schedule. However, of course, the pandemic had likely changed their plans, and so they shifted the ports of Crash Bandicoot 4 to 2021 to be slotted for the 25th anniversary celebration. Speaking of the 25th anniversary of Crash, during the 25th anniversary celebration, Toys for Bob released this video that contained the Crash Team Rumble logo as a transition. It of course would be confirmed over a year later when the game was announced in 2022 that the transition was indeed something for Crash Team Rumble. It's possible that Toys for Bob is mentioning the 25th anniversary for Spyro as a big event because they might be doing the exact same thing for Spyro during his 25th anniversary, which means they could be teasing a potential new title, so that's something to look out for. Now, behind Spyro, we see a gigantic set of ones and zeros, which is binary code. So we all tried translating what it meant, but we later found out it was just a simple clip art ripped from the internet. But take a look at the whole picture. That clip art being haphazardly being jammed into the picture really doesn't make sense, both as a design and thematic level. Design-wise, it looks like a complete and total cluttered mess in that corner, and then on a thematic level, it makes zero sense. Here, let me show you what I mean. Dream big. Community. Joy. Love. Have fun. Equality. 1010101010101010. In my opinion, it feels like it was purposely placed there. The binary code possibly alluding to the idea that Spyro is being coded and is in development, but that's only my opinion. But back to the point from earlier, we know that Spyro is going to be a guest in Crash Team Rumble. And this social media post suggests that Toys for Bob is going to be celebrating Spyro's 25th anniversary and is seemingly being treated as a larger than normal event. So let's again look at the last time Spyro was a guest character in a Crash title, Crash Team Racing. Let's make a little chart here. Spyro was in a Crash Bandicoot branded title, and his Grand Prix was released during his anniversary month of September, and the purpose was to cross-promote the new Spyro ports coming to Switch and PC. So let's apply the same logic for the next potential project. A guest in a Crash Bandicoot related title? Check. Released during a major anniversary year? Check. The purpose being cross-promotion? Well, that's what we're here to find out. I do think that there will be a title to cross-promote, and that title might just be Spyro 4. Now I get it. This is a lot to assume. And you're right, based on these two little pieces of evidence, it seems a little weak. But do you really think I only came with a pattern and a vague social media post? Oh no, I brought more. Activision recently has been hosting something that they call talent bridging, something that is being advertised on Facebook and LinkedIn. It basically was a Q&A with potential hires with people who currently work at Activision. However, the pictures they are using to promote this is interesting. Take a look at this first piece here. We can see Crash, two characters from Call of Duty, and Spyro and Sparks. Okay, if Spyro is not coming for a while, why would they show the brand of a character they apparently have no intention of making more games of soon? Also, they're not just showing the characters from the last 3 games that they worked on, because otherwise Tony Hawk would be in this place of Spyro, as Tony Hawk's game came out in 2020 along with Crash 4. On top of that, on a second image, we can see, yet again, Spyro being featured. Again, I repeat the same statement. Why use a specific brand to advertise an event that encourages people to apply for a job and yet have absolutely zero plans for the game to be worked on? Canadian guy, hey, this is just speculation. This is only for people to apply jobs and nothing else. This means nothing. Well, maybe you're right. Hey, I have a great idea. Why don't we take a look at some of the jobs that they are advertising? This technical artist is calling for experience in, quote, both realistic and cartoon motion, and asking to be familiar with Unreal 4 animation blueprints. Well, obviously the job application is looking for someone to work on Call of Duty and something else cartoon related, probably Crash Bandicoot. And the evidence supports that. If you were to look at that 2023 collage that they posted on social media, we see both Crash Team Rumble and Ghost. But let's take a look at this senior animator position and look at its bonus experience. Let's see what it says. Experience with camera animation, layout, and storyboarding. Experience animating non-humanoid characters. Keep this in mind, this is important. Experience with Unreal or similar game engines. Passion for games. Experience creating and editing stylized first and third person animations. Oh boy, there's some juicy stuff here. Now, I apologize if I seem to be hammering the obvious, but I want to make this as abundantly and blatantly clear as possible. What does non-humanoid characters mean? Well, simply put, it's a character that is not a humanoid. So, what is a humanoid? Real Illusion has some great examples of humanoid characters, from actual humans to anthropomorphic animals. As you can see, it's simply something that looks relatively human-shaped, so standing upright in a bipedal position. So the job is looking for people with experience with animating characters that are not like this. So, why would experience with non-humanoid character animations be such a focus for this specific job? Well, it's likely because this person will be dealing with quite a number of non-humanoid rigs, or at least one big important one. So why don't we take a look at Activision's 4 current active properties: Call of Duty, Crash Bandicoot, Spyro the Dragon, and Tony Hawk. And let's compare a humanoid rig to all 4 of the main characters of those games. If the character does not match the general shape of this rig, it means it's a non-humanoid. Which character does this rig not match? Ladies and gents, there's only one, and it's Spyro. Not only that, but every character that we have seen thus far in Crash Team Rumble would be categorized as humanoid, which makes me believe that animating Spyro may be a key point to this specific job. Now, I have been hunting this project for years now, so if you want to stay tuned to hear all of my findings, make sure to subscribe, as I also hunt and obsess over other nostalgic platformers as well, looking for secrets, hints, or clues for their return. Anyway, back to the video. To take it even a step further, when I typed in on Google examples of non-humanoids, the most common examples were dogs, cats, and even deer. All examples that would fit Spyro to a T. But it's not just the experience and non-humanoids that caught my eye, but the third and first person perspectives. Crash Bandicoot's perspective can be argued to be third person. However, it's not your typical third person, as Crash games typically have a big change in perspectives. When you go to Google and look up perfect examples of third person games, every example fits Spyro's perspective to a T. So let's make another chart and take a look at this checkbox. When you include non-humanoid, Unreal Engine, stylized, and third and first person perspectives, what game checks every single box? There's only one, and that's Spyro. So let's break it down. We have Activision's obsession with anniversaries, Spyro's anniversary being confirmed to be celebrated by Toys for Bob during the release window of Crash Team Rumble, Spyro also basically being confirmed as a guest character for that game, Crash Team Rumble seemingly following a very similar scheme to Crash Team Racing Nitro Fueled, Spyro being used for brand recognizability for job applications, and some of those said jobs include specific details that seem pretty much tailored to a Spyro experience. Well, With all that said, here is my hypothesis. Spyro 4 is in development. Toys for Bob at the very least has a hand in its creation, but may not be 100% the leaders on it, as I think based on previous evidence that Beanox is also involved. How much are they involved? I'm unsure. Crash Team Rumble is going to introduce Spyro as a playable character as a part of his 25th anniversary and will springboard Spyro 4 teases and hints, or will give a clear and definitive announcement for the new project. That tease or hint might be similar to how Crash Team Rumble was teased during Crash's 25th anniversary, or might be a verbal announcement like Crash Insane Trilogies. However though, this hypothetical Spyro title actually has something unique to it when it comes to marketing. 2023 is Spyro's 25th anniversary, so we could turn and say, hey, based on what you said, Spyro 4 should be coming this year, right? Actually, no. There's actually something else going on in 2024, and that is the Chinese Year of the Dragon. With Spyro's 25th anniversary and the Year of the Dragon being adjacent to each other, we potentially could see a verbal announcement or tease in 2023 for the 25th anniversary and an announcement and release in 2024. Or announced and released in 2024, or at the bare minimum, an announcement in 2024. There is too much to suggest that nothing Spyro related is happening, and that's based simply on this evidence. I have so many other videos about Spyro 4 that talks about copyright marks, other job applications, and more. So check those out if you want to feed your hope for Spyro 4. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video and our live stream. Bye-bye!